unusual, to be honest. Usually the radio programme takes much of the information from the video and vice versa, and this is the same. Both are covering the Hornsea branch, the long closed Hornsea branch, closed 1963. But the first time I came, the camera ran out of juice, so I recorded it on my phone, but you can't get the video from my phone onto my editing suite, so I've come back again. So although we're covering the same area, we're doing it differently. Now here we are, we're at Skirlaugh station. Now Skirlaugh closed in 1957. You've seen it behind my back there, you can see the platforms and things. The line itself shut in 1963, and if I just swing round, you can see there, that's the branch heading off in the whole direction, and it's roughly paved, so it works as a good cycle track. But this is Skirlaugh station. Now I'll post up a still picture which somebody kindly found me of Skirlaugh when it was still open back in its very early days. But there's an awful lot of the station still left. If I just come round here and you get rid of my ugly mug, you can see the platforms with the red brick and the concrete topping, fields way beyond, and you just about see the other platform. That would be the where are we now? Yeah, that would be the Hornsea platform. This would be the whole platform over here. You see trees have grown up over this last, nearly 60 years, 60 odd years, something like that anyway. Yeah, so nice long platform. Now I checked how far we are from Skirlaugh at Skirlaugh station, and the answer is a mile and a half. So in common with many of the branch lines that ran through rural areas, there was if you will, a discrepancy between the station name board and the village they were purporting to serve. Now we're still walking, let's come round again, we're still walking by the platform edge here, you can see that. So as you can see, for a station literally in the middle of nowhere, there's not much in the other direction. Sometimes you would call it Skirlaugh because that was the biggest area, but there'd be another village pretty much on top of the station. Not the case here. There's very little at all really. But again, probably in common with many stations on this line, because once you're out of Hull, really until you get to Hornsea, there's nothing much. Predominantly the traffic would be, I think, would be rural freight. Thus, the passengers were just a bonus, and the station was there. Just come over here, you can see some of the original station fencing, that diagonal boarding, which is typical of many of the stations on the line. And if I just try and look through over here, you can probably see there is the goods loading bay. You can see the concrete post up, and you can probably through the trees see the platform edge for the unloading. So a lot of things here at Skirlaugh, but we're going to take a walk up. It's a brilliant day actually. When I did the audio version that appeared on the radio programme, it began drizzling and then it rained and then it stopped for a minute and then it rained again. So this is by far a much pleasanter day. while we're walking, my apologies for this being late. It was, you know, pretty much due to the fact that I've had to come and reshoot, but I hope it's worth it. And at least if you heard the radio programme, you can now sort of get a slightly different angle on the way things are. But if I sort of come round, you can see the fields are extensive there, so the agricultural traffic was probably not insubstantial in this area. Coming around, that's the other direction, that's actually looking towards Skirlaugh village. You can hear the main road in the background. That's the main road which effectively runs from Bridlington to Hull. Serves other places as well, obviously, but effectively that's its main raison d'etre, if you will. There's various bits in here and there that still show railway origins. You can see another concrete post there. There's a wooden post here, and I'm not sure of that, whether that's railway or whether that's a later addition. Certainly this white pole that's just coming up is some sort of electrical thing. I'm not sure what its purpose may be, but it's certainly long past the railway. Let's have a little look, see if we can get anything. DC coupon, SC coupon. So yeah, some kind of electric thing, but we know not what. As you can see, the land around here is flat, so in terms of engineering the Hornsea branch, it wouldn't have been a major problem. There would have been pretty much just going straight across the countryside where they've got the ability to do so. Now, I've mentioned this before, but just before the first lockdown came in and things were much more strict, and as I speak we're heading out of lockdowns. Hopefully within about 5 weeks we'll be free of everything, but I bought a folding bike just for such things as this. So when we get to the middle of June, I shall bring the folding bike to Hull or Hornsea, probably Hornsea actually, and then we'll do a whole feature on this line, cycling it. Hornsea station, which was once derelict, is now, well, I suppose inevitably, luxury accommodation flats type things, apartments if you will. So, but at least the station is beautifully restored, and the start of the walk that takes you to Hull is just there. So it's, you know, it's a good thing, let's be honest. Much better than have it demolished or, you know, converted into public toilets or whatever councils may decide on things. The station is largely intact, but we won't be seeing Hornsea today, so let's keep on this track here. As you can see, somewhere up in the distance there's a dog and its owner, so we're talking you know, a well-used facility. Certainly when I've been here at weekends, there's a good stream of cyclists and walkers using this. As I mentioned on the radio programme, if you go onto YouTube, you'll find a little short film that was originally broadcast on Channel 4, and it was rather interesting. I used to have it, I'd actually take the thing on video when I saw it was coming on, so I had it in my possession for some time. But the guy set out from Paragon Station in the present day, presumably with a bike, looking at the footage, and followed the line precisely as it went. So initially you're on the train and you're coming out and you're going past I think it's Dairycoats Depot as was there, and then turning up to Hornsea branch where the line then disappears. I think the only section you could reasonably claim to be the Hornsea branch is the dock lines, which set off in much the same direction before the Hornsea branch came off. And then he cycles the track, but he doesn't just cycle it and go around the houses, he goes precisely where the railway went. So there's these surreal moments where with editing you go through the wall of a house or an office block that now stands on the course of the actual railway. You can get around it by the footpaths and so forth, but it stands on the course of the actual railway, and it's really very surreal going through somebody's living room where once beautiful tank engines came through, or Craven's DMUs I think were the last things on this line to be used. Must have been a lovely journey, And to this day, the closure of the line is lamented. Hornsea has always said it damaged the town's economy greatly when the railway went. The Hornsea, of course, being an area which relies quite a bit on tourism for its income, and less people came. It's simple enough, but by no means a direct journey to drive there, so you can see that. It closed on the same day, 63, as its fellow hull to the coast line to Withensea, and Withensea, I am told, it virtually destroyed the town. I mean, it's not the world's best town to this day in terms of keeping its head above water. Nice little town, and there's a lighthouse museum and all sorts there, but it was thriving with the railway, and when the railway cut, decline set in. So thanks to those short-sighted people whose wives owned a company that built the roads, which were given the contracts to enhance the roads following the closure of the railway. You know what I'm talking about, Mr. Marples. A little bit of politics there, yes indeed. As we walk along, just remind you that this is the Transported Video Extra, and it's a recent extra for the radio programme on BCB Radio. I won't give you the full details, because if you look at the credits fore and aft, it's got the full details of the frequency on FM, and you can listen to us on the internet and on devices and apps and all that stuff, so quite easy to listen. And that's on the 4th Wednesday, every 4th Wednesday. And yes, I know, go to the website, that will tell you when the next edition is, because I know that can confuse. I've said for ages, wouldn't it? Can we not be the first Wednesday of the month, or but because some times have 5 Wednesdays in a month, they've decided not to, and it just runs on a cycle of 4 with 3 other specialist programmes. But what's that got to do with this? Well, all it's got to do with it is the fact that I'm here, I think, really. And we're going to walk up to the next station, which is surprisingly quite close. It's not very far away at all, and unsurprisingly, again, it's pretty much in the middle of nowhere. I don't know what traffic comes up here. There's certainly signs. Well, if we look down there, you can see the signs. That's obviously a tractor. So I think it sees some vehicles of agricultural use coming down there. I don't think you can get out at the station end, so presumably it's moved between the fields here, but it's certainly in use at some point with motorised transport. And I've no doubt whatsoever, though I've not seen it, that motorbike chaps and chapesses use this for the pleasure. And why not? As long as you're careful, as long as you're not tearing on here at 90 miles an hour on a high-powered motorbike, as long as you're chugging through the countryside, I have no objections to that kind of a thing. As long as you give way to the dogs and the people, then why not? Certainly, I'd bring my Range Rover up here if I could. I like a bit of green laning, and this is as good a green lane as I've seen. Although it's not designated as such, so I wouldn't, but you know what I mean. Now we're talking about a cyclist. We can see a cyclist coming towards us now. Little wood there, look, with the bluebells in. Very attractive. Yeah, you don't need to be a railway sort of person to enjoy this walk. Just keep to one side while a cyclist goes past. Not see much of railway on it as we come on here. But, there he goes. Having said that, I can see more concrete boundary posts or fence posts which form the boundary of the railway between the farm and another one over there behind that tree. I suppose being concrete, they've not been removed. The wooden fence posts, of course, can have uses for local farmers if it's only for lighting the fire with. So, nice stuff. Now, as you can see, we've been in the open country and fairly flat. I mentioned it was wouldn't have needed a great deal of engineering to put this line together. But just here, and really for no apparent reason, we start to enter a relatively shallow cutting, but quite why it goes into cutting here, I'm not completely certain. Let's go over these. See that the horses use here. You can see a number of, there we go, you see a number of horseshoe marks in the ground. And you can see we haven't been walking very far, and even on foot it's not taken us long. But the next railway station is coming up now, and as this is a pleasant day, we'll probably walk a little bit further than I did on the other walk. A little bit of a blip there as I stop the video and restart it, simply for the sake of not losing anything should any disastrous battery failure happen. And it hasn't, so that's good, that's good. I don't think I even got out the car park of Skirlaugh station before the battery went last time, but that was my fault for not checking how much power was in it before setting off on an expedition. And someday I'll work out how to get video off my phone and onto my laptop to go in the editing suite. I'm not sure how you can do it. And also, sadly, it appears that iPhone video is not compatible with my editing suite. But I have an old iPhone 4, I keep meaning to charge it up and experiment, just use it as a camera. iPhone 4's not been the most reliable in terms of battery charging, nonetheless. It would work as a decent backup. Now then, you have to see my ugly face again, just to see where we are as I tip my way around along this slightly muddier section. We had some quite torrential rain after it rained the other week when I came here. It's become a bit more of a quagmire than it was, but the heat and the water has brought out a few little flies to irritate me as I go around. But there we are, we just passed that. It's just a little dip within the trees that's not dried out. If I turn around, you might just catch sight of all the midgy things flying around and giving it some midge, or whatever midges do. Okay, so you can't see it yet, but we're actually just about to go to the new to the next station. This is the station of Ellerby. Unlike Skirlaugh, it's not near anything that I can see in terms of enormous habitation, and in fact Skirlaugh at least has the advantage of being on a main road. Skirlaugh sits there with its level crossing at one end, or its former level crossing at one end these days, but here at Ellerby there's nothing apart from a country road that runs past. Also, of course, Ellerby would have had its own level crossing at one point, but obviously that's long gone. I don't think there's any sign of the gatepost or anything. We'll have a look. We're getting near now. These are quite extensive stations in terms of buildings, and there we are, it's just appearing. That's Ellerby Station building, fine red brick, overhanging slate roof, smaller possibly lamp room or something there on this side of it. The diagonal fencing there, it's not the original diagonal fencing, but it's a nice sort of reminder of what once was there. And let's do this, and I can raise you up nicely. There you go. There you go. The wonder of extending handles. But yeah, you might just see, like I can, through the bushes. There's the platform edge, still there behind this rather nice hedge, actually. Rather lovely. De-extend the telescopic handly thingy dingy. There we go. And yeah, You can probably see that's one side of Ellaby Station. Now that might be Ellaby Village over there, I'm not completely certain, but the housing that I can see from here, there's not a lot of it. Would have been about in 63, and I think it looks a little bit more modern. It's not exactly metropolis there anyway. Right, this is where the line crossed the road. Now the angle is probably slightly different to the footpath now. It would have gone slightly diagonal across this road. I'm thinking there's a stream behind those bushes we can see. Just go around here, you can see Ellaby Station, and there we are. Ellaby Gatehouse is the name of the house now. Can't quite see it. The gate was open the other day, but you might just catch a glance. There's a North Eastern Railway iron plate over there. I'll post up a still picture of that from when the gate was open. And there you can see the actual station fencing is still there. I mean, I'm sure many of us would delight in more station fencing there. So I'm guessing that where the station fencing goes into this kind of fencing is where the line actually ran. Right, can't see anything over this side that should give us a suggestion of how it crossed, but I assume it crossed at a diagonal because we soon re-enter the actual tracks. As you can see, there's lots of beautiful blossom out, but you can see, I would imagine where it goes straight there, the line would have just come straight across on the diagonal, not this little dog's leg that we're just currently negotiating. But as I say, as you see, like many of these country branch lines, there's not vast amounts of passenger custom, but no doubt plenty of agricultural custom. See some fellow walkers walking the other way. What I'm going to do is to get near is to turn the camera around. I don't like to go in people's faces. I mean, heavens, this chap might be having an affair and his wife might see it. You never know. Well, I mean, I don't think so, but yeah, you do never know. So I'm coming round again now so you can't see. There we go. You have to put up with me again for a moment as we walk past them. And the lines say still carrying very straight. If there's a gradient, it's not noticeable. And we'll go a little bit further along here. There we go. There we are. Now they've gone past. We'll point forward again so that we're not taking great pictures of them. It's enormously peaceful. You can hear the birds singing, no doubt, in the background. There's one, just to prove. And I think also if you go on to YouTube, there is actually a video from not long before the line closed, I suspect, of a journey from the cab of a DMU, or at least in the way those DMUs, from the front seat behind the cabs. Oh, how we cursed when the driver pulled down the blinds and you couldn't see any further along. So here we go, along this straight section again. Agricultural buildings over there, no doubt always an occupational crossing here, that's obviously all new. But over here is a concrete post, which, yeah, that's definitely the railway's post, for an agricultural crossing, allowing agricultural vehicles to cross. And you can see over there traffic on the roads and a small area ahead, and I think we'll go there and then we'll turn around and come back again, although you won't, I will. Just keep extensively walking. It's good anyway, it's good after all this. I was going to say after all this lockdown it's good to get out and exercise, but the one thing you could do during lockdown was to go for exercise, but I suppose more correctly, it's lovely to take some exercise away from home. You know, I'm lucky to live in a beautiful area and not far from the beach and the cliffs and things, so it was no horrific pain to do those walks to keep the exercise going during lockdown, but self-evidently being a travelling chap, I mean, half the reason I do transport is I love to drive, I love to go on trains, I love a bus journey, I even quite like flying occasionally, I certainly like going on boats and ships, so I just like to travel and see new things all the time. So you can imagine my frustration over these last, well, I suppose about 18 months altogether before it ends. You can imagine that I didn't find that part of things quite as easy as the rest. And you can see that little cutting back there before Ellaby. It's, you know, there's no explanation as to why it uses a cutting. The land remains nice and flat. Little birdies there flapping around on this patch of brambles, and again more of the concrete fence posts for the railway's boundary. I mean, you can see as this line was opened now, the potential for ramblers and tourism and connecting minibus services to the local villages from the stations. The potential is enormous, and you can see also, of course, it will be very cheap to reopen it because there's no massive structures. The only problem becomes as you get into Hornsea, where supermarkets and the like have taken over the track bed to a large extent. Hornsea Station, of course, is nearly at the sea, on the beach, that form I referred to earlier. You actually get to Hornsea Station and turn slightly and cycle right into the sea and then go underwater, which is kind of a quirky end to the fun, but it does show how close it was. Not quite so close to Hornsea town centre. If that was the case, the best place was Hornsea Bridge, I think, was handier for the town centre, as I remember. I wish I'd travelled on the line, but there again, there's many lines I wish I'd travelled on. I was 10 years old when this line shut. That's a giveaway to what ancient mariner I am, isn't it? But yeah, and only 4 when Skirlaugh station closed. I'm suspecting when the line was open, these trees and things at the side were a lot less prominent, much shorter. Now, having said that, it's not always the case on these open railways lands during flat areas. The railway would often plant trees of this nature as windbreaks to avoid trains being blown off the track. How often that happened, apart from in very exposed places like Garsdale, I don't know. Seems to be another footpath goes off just there, public footpath. I don't know whether that gate is sort of obviously not that one, it's in far too good a condition, but I wonder if there was a gate there for a footpath to cross the railway with a stop, look and listen sign. Certainly there's a footpath off the other side. I suppose while I'm walking along, it's a good time to say, if you have anything you'd like to come and video, if you running events, anything like that, video and record for the radio programme, I would be more than delighted to do it. Another chap coming the other way now, so once again, feed you my terrible face. There we go. As we come round, just avoiding the little muddy section, still with the tractor tyres, so we've still kind of got all that going on. And chap here moving sticks out of the way. Good stuff. And not far now. There we go. And there you are. Blessed relief, you don't have to look at me anymore. As the line takes a steady curve to the left on its steady progress to the sea. And I suppose in a strange way it doesn't quite leave the sea at Hull, because it's the Humber estuary at that point, or the beginnings of the river Humber estuary, and so it kind of goes from the sea, nips inland and then goes to the sea again. And of course that's always interesting, isn't it? I mentioned this on the radio programme again, I think, is why is Hull known as Hull when the actual city name is Kingston upon Hull, the town of the king? That being the case, then why isn't Kingston on Thames known as Thames and Kingston, Jamaica known as Jamaica? But no, you see what I mean? I can't think of another town, city or even village where the name we know it by is the river. It's not even though the river Hull is the primary river in Hull. The Hull is a smaller river that comes down and joins the Humber. So it's interesting. I may assume it is to avoid confusion with Kingston on Thames and Kingston, Jamaica and things. There we are, another example of gate posts for the railway. Very nice. And I'm trying to keep this nice and flowing for the simple reason it's so much easier for me to edit. So if I fall over and swear, that's another edit. I'm not quite incapable of falling over, as my partner Andrew will tell you a million times. I can be clumsy in a sense, although I don't know. I don't think it's as clumsy as careless in terms of, yeah, if I look at a screwdriver, suddenly it's like an episode from a horror film and there's blood everywhere. I can easily cut and damage myself at any given point. In terms of knocking things off shelves and stuff, no, I'm actually quite good at that. I think because I know that I might knock them flying, I take a great deal of care. So that's it now. We're going to end very shortly with this next little conurbation, and I can just about see house roofs peeping over the top of the trees at the side there, and I'm not sure exactly where we are. See, I try when I'm doing videos and things to not do a great deal of research, the obvious reason being that I want you to learn along with me. So I knew that was Ellaby back there, and I knew it was Skirlaugh station. But is this the next station? I don't know. While we're doing this, let's get the old phone out and flick it on and search Hornsea branch and see what the next station is. I am doing that now even as I speak. Right, here we go. Hornsea Railway. And we should get a map of the line somewhere, if I can find it. There we are. Right. Just avoiding the cyclist. I think if this is a station here, then we're actually near Burton Constable. Now actually Burton Constable's really interesting. There is a stately home there, Burton.
Train now approaching